Hello and welcome to Instant Pot Princess. I'm Tatiana, and today I am not doing a demo on a recipe, but I am going to be talking about 6 different tips that you can use when you're cooking and using your Instant Pot. So let's get started. Number 1, let's talk about sealing rings. If you watched my demo on my Instant Pot accessories, then you'll probably already know this tip, but these rings smell. This one smells spicy. I do a lot of cooking with this particular ring. So you do need to rinse with soap and water the inside of your Instant Pot, and these rings should be changed over depending on what you're cooking. So if you're cooking a dessert, you don't want the dessert to taste spicy or have that aroma of spiciness. So anyway, make sure that you exchange your rings depending on what you're cooking, but don't just take it out and put a new ring in. You need to wash this, because if you've ever stuck your nose to that, it smells too. It comes out because this is metal, obviously, but it doesn't seem to come out of this. The second tip with respect to the rings are some of the rings that you will get are quite stiff, and I know I've had a bit of a tough time getting some of them to stick into the edge of the Instant Pot lid. So all you need to do is run it under hot water. Okay, so just loosen it up a little bit. That's kind of a bonus. I'm not calling that tip number 2. That's still with respect to the rings. Tip number 2 is about storing your Instant Pot lid. I just cringe when I watch demos of people taking their lid off their Instant Pot and then just putting it upside down on the counter. And because it's heavier on this side where your valves are, that's where it goes, and then it smashes down. We don't want to wreck this. This is a delicate thing, this little, oh, there's a name for it, I know, but I call them valves and buttons, right? So this steam valve where the steam is coming out is delicate. You don't want to be smashing that down on anything. So if you have an Instant Pot that has a handle here with a hole in it, place your Instant Pot lid in your handle like that, and that's how you can store it while you're doing other things. When you're storing it in your cupboard or on your counter, there is a recommendation not to store it with the lid on your Instant Pot like that, because I mean, there probably are a few reasons, but the reason I can think of is there's a little button depressed here, right? That's what links to your sealing valve button going up and down. We just don't want that to be continuously depressed, right? So this is how you should be storing your lid on your Instant Pot. So nothing is pushing down on this, and nothing is pressing this button. There we go. So this is tip number 2, how to store your lid. Tip number 3. See these little condensation cups here? They just slide in. These cost a lot of money. So my tip is always check your carburetor before you turn on the carburetor. And that's particularly for my husband, because this little gadget, actually not this one, but the one from my 3-quart Instant Pot, it was in the carburetor. It fell off. I was going to wash it. My husband turned it on and it shredded it. I had to pay $17. I'll find, hang on just one second. Here you go. So here's the difference in size. This is for the 3-quart Instant Pot. $17 to get this. So now I guard it with my life. That is tip number 3. Tip number 4 I'm not going to go into a big explanation about this. I'm going to put a link below to Urvashi Petra's site where she talks about the Maillard effect. I believe I mentioned it in one of my demos. The Maillard effect is what happens when we sear, usually meats, but also vegetables. We get this really great flavor from the combination of, whatever oils or fats you're putting in there and searing the meat, and then you deglaze and you get all that yumminess. Urvashi Petra provides a video about the Maillard effect and why it's not needed in the Instant Pot. Sometimes, as I mentioned in another video, that we need to break up meat, like any ground meat. You don't want one chunk of ground meat. So that is a reason to saute that. But really, you don't need to do a lot of sauteing in the Instant Pot, even when the recipe says so. Sometimes it's just fun, and it's just part of, if you're a chef or if you're an avid cook, it's just part of cooking and it just feels right, but you actually don't, for the most part, need to saute anything before you cook it. So that is tip number 4. I'll put the link to Urvashi Petra below. Tip number 5 is about the venting. When you have your Instant Pot ready to go and it's time to decide, should I vent it now or should I let it naturally release for a bit? This is aside from the recipes, because there are recipes that have a fairly full pot of liquid that will tell you to do a quick release. Now maybe you do need to do a quick release because cooking too much longer is going to have an effect on your dish in your Instant Pot. Okay. But when you do that, you've got to remember that there's going to be liquid trying to spew out of the valve here. So if you need to do a quick pressure release and you have an Instant Pot full of soup, so something liquidy, I recommend, if you can wait a few minutes, do it. If that's going to affect your dish too much, then I suggest not depressing this the entire way. Just press it in bits and you will see what's going to come out of there. And so you can slowly do that and then build it up. So that's my recommendation for the quick pressure release if you have a lot of liquid in your pot. So that's tip number 5. And the last tip I have for today is about meal planning. Probably don't need to go into how to meal plan. I'm sure you've seen many people talking about it. The one meal plan prep that I like to do is to plan to make 2 meals back to back. So one night I make one meal, I have leftovers. The next night I make another meal, we eat it, I have leftovers. Then 2 nights following, I get to go back to the first meal, eat the leftovers for that, and then the leftovers for the next one. So if you can make meals that have enough leftovers for another meal for you and your family, I guess if you have a big family, that's not going to be able to happen so much, but for us, there's just 2. And it really helps because then I've got 2 nights where all I have to do is heat up the food in the Instant Pot. I don't have to cook for 2 nights. Kind of like a shift work, right? I got 2 on and 2 off. So that's the end of my video. Happy cooking, everyone.